Hey guys. Um so I wanted to talk about things music related tonight. And actually tonight, obviously I'm not going to make it super late, but I will be showing you all my Funko Pop collection down in my basement. Um Although I do have ones that I may show off in another video in my closet that are on my closet shelf, but I have a lot of like the ones that are more meaningful to me up there. Um, but a lot of the good stuff is downstairs, but I'll be doing a live organizing it for you guys, or really organizing it, making it look better, organized figures where I know they belong, things like that. But um I wanted to talk about music, specifically about my morning question today at program. It was so the question was, who is a drummer that inspires you? Meaning it could be people that you know, that you could be surrounded by or would be surrounded by, or a famous drummer. Um, Meaning that you can't say I mean, you could say yourself, but I limited it to not being yourself, but either being somebody you know, or I mean, I would say you could even like have a combination of people you know and drummers that you've seen perform live, in other bands that you may not know. But some people, I mean, for me, I don't, I mean, I do look, I would say inspiration, for me when it comes to drumming has to do with, this was kind of more of like a fun question, because there's a lot of drummers it's not so much their playing style that I mean, I think it's really the skill that comes out of it. But I will say there is drummers out there that like to show off, you know, and have an ego of, showing off and things like that. Which for me, as a drummer, I focus on playing what is supposed to be played without without showing off in front of a big crowd. Because for me, if you show off, when you're behind the kit, there's bound to be times where you might even screw up. So for me, it's very important where the precision and focus comes from is playing the song you're there to play the whole, I would say the whole set list. And honestly, covers, I mean, includes cover, so if you're covering a song from another band that wrote it, or even an original, if it's coming from up here with a band that you're currently in, it's important to play through the whole song, the whole get go. Um, but I actually had stated, because a lot of people know me very well, that I like rock music. I do like rock music. I mean, I will say I like different varieties of rock, especially when it comes to branching out. Um, but sometimes I choose drummers often to kind of like separate those drummers who like to show off, meaning like they like to show off because, the audience wants that, where, really it's like this, the songs, they want to hear and things. For me, as a respectful audience, even if I was sitting out in the audience, you know, I mean, I would be vibing to the music. I would be sitting back or standing up, rocking out, but I wouldn't be showing off and things like that. Or but concerts are meant to be enjoyed, especially if you're not performing, or you attend concerts with friends, family. Um, but sometimes when you're the observer, which when I refer to it as observing a concert, I mean sometimes you're working a merch table, you could be in the audience, watching the full show, and absorbing kind of like a lot of things. Sometimes I even observe the equipment that a lot of bands or musicians use. Um, so I kind of know where what is happening. But I will say, my answer this morning's question, I said I know I'm gonna anger a lot of people, but my answer for the question that I came up with was Ringo Starr from the Beatles. But I know I it's a big shocker for people that know that I also really love hard rock. But I'm going to state this about Ringo for a lot of reasons, but I feel like nowadays people are going to say drummers like Lars Ulrich from Metallica, heavy hitting drummers. Whereas for me, I look at fluency, I look, at grace, I look at skill more so than I look at power when it comes to people that drum, because you can have power behind your drums no problem if you put the power into your drumming to do that. As I said, it's skill, not what you're fully set out to do. Because the thing is, if somebody relies on power to play drums, somebody could come in and rely more on grace, on, as I said, playing the song, um playing so fluently, you know not having a competition of who hits harder, who's louder, because drums, depending on what you're playing, and really the skills that you bring, when you're behind a kit, determine, really if you're going to hit hard, or your skills are going to determine that automatically. It's not so much your thought into it, but it's your skill. But I will say that I chose Ringo Starr for a lot of reasons. And one of those reasons is that Ringo, when he was in the Beatles, and obviously and not so much that he was, the drummer that was in the Beatles longer than the other drummers for the Beatles. Ringo played the song. The thing is, like, he played the song no matter what. The thing is, Ringo was quite, he wasn't that show off type at all. I would say when you're behind the kit, you're expected to play that song, that maybe full set list without stopping, without obviously showing off, because I feel like that's what gave a lot of the Beatles their legendary mark, is that these were professional musicians, and they were musicians that, I mean, left their mark in this world. I mean, I would say as big as a band like Metallica. I don't have anything bad to say about Metallica, because I do. I like their music. I will say, when I think of bands and artists, I think of the music they create than their personalities within the band. But I like Ringo Starr for, as I said, multiple reasons. I like the Beatles in general. I would say back then, or when I mean, I would probably say I don't listen to Beatles, which I mean, it is true. I never really hardly listened to them, but the thing is, a lot of people, that lived, in the 70s, 60s, I mean, Beatles were one of the home run bands. I mean,
What are you doing? You want to come up now?
yeah.
All right. It's
Are,
just about
are,
done.
are, are they done? Or what are we having with them?
Beans.
Beans. Okay.
I didn't feel like having any more.
All right. I'll be right out. I'm
Yeah.
just doing a live. I'll be
You
really.
better hurry up here.
I am.
God, because you know. Okay, move, buddy.
Um, but it's one of those things where I look more into skill than I do performance. I mean, I'm not stating at all you can't have fun with music. I mean, you can have lots of fun with music, and ways of being creative. But for me, having a creative background and a professional style, or at least not so much style, but not, I would say, professional skill level of being behind the kit, which it's very different from those who show off, who want to hit harder because the fans want it. The fans come because they like the hits. They don't come to a concert I mean, because you're playing music, you're playing a lot of the hits or songs they know and love, than they are to, I mean, I feel like if there's any, audience member or audience members, that request, oh, hit harder on this, do a drums. I mean, the thing is, it really is what the song needs, and what that song, it's really how the song is played, not so much what the fans want, but playing the song how it is. Um, But I will say, I mean, if I mean, for me, sometimes I don't like going back and recording guitar, but I know I have to do it. I mean, yes, experienced guitar players might do it in one take, but for me, sometimes it's usually two, maybe three. But the song that I'm releasing with Ian right now is literally almost done, but we should be starting the mixing next Wednesday, hopefully. Um, but I added some drums um to the song today, even though there was already my drumming on there. I had added a couple things like I have a certain thing where I go into this like rim shot beat, meaning I'm using the rim, I'm using the snare drum at the same time, but I'm hitting dead center on the bridge. I'm hitting on like the outer, as I said, the rim of the snare drum, but also kind of like towards the edge. Um, and not so much because I'm showing off, but because this song definitely, because for me it's a bit of, yes, the when you're keeping the groove, you're keeping the beat going as a drummer, it's really good and it's really helpful. But I mean, as I said, you can change when there's a bridge, or if you want to do a fill, you have to do it at the right time, but still restrain from showing off and play the song. And I encourage everybody to do that, because then you will feel more focused. You will be more focused. And, I feel like at that point, you won't be slowing down. You're going to keep going. But, um, yeah, I'm very much excited about Riffsman. Hopefully that song will be released. Yeah, I'm coming. But thank you all for watching. But I will show my Funko Pop collection tonight.